Hey everybody, it's Brendon Burchard, author of The Motivation Manifesto, one of the founders of Growth.com, and welcome to this live special presentation on the 5 effective people skills that will change your life. You are going to love this live broadcast presentation, so I thank you for being here. Yes, this really is live. It's 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm in the beautiful, sunny Portland, Oregon today, shooting this for you so that I can help you maybe learn a few lessons that might take your relationships or your career to the next level. I know that's why you're here, so I promise in this hour that we have together, I'll deliver. In this hour, we also have, since we're here live, the benefit of having the chat roll down below so you can ask questions. Make sure you comment down below. Tell us where you are from and ask questions, because it's only those people who ask questions will, A, am I able to answer some questions to this evening, but B, I might do a free giveaway or a free gift at the end, and I can only do that to those who log in down below, tell us where you're from, ask some questions, anything related to people skills, anything related to, if you know my brand or what I do or Growth.com does, feel free to ask us questions there, but also specifically about maybe a relationship you're trying to improve or what you're trying to figure out about other people, because that's what this emphasis is really about. I learned a very long time ago, at probably a critical transformational point in my life, that if I didn't figure out people, I would never, ever, ever be able to rise. And I'm sure you've discovered that too. For me, it was as a young kid. I had a breakup with the first woman I ever loved when I was 19 years old. And it actually taught me that I sucked at relationships. It taught me that I didn't understand influence. And it taught me that I really didn't understand how to deal with my own emotions in dealing with other people. Because you and I both know sometimes, hey, you might have your stuff together, but then you go to work and the manager throws you off. Or you put that thing out in your marketing and trying to persuade other people to buy from you, follow you, believe in you, and they don't. And then you got to deal with the repercussions of maybe that relationship is awkward, but also you feel bad. So this is an important area to get right in our lives, you know? And I think we're in a moment right now when we're seeing that there's some trouble a-brewing. And what I mean by that is, you know, in the personal development space in general, there's been so much coming out of the field of psychology sometimes to teach us to master our mind or our beliefs or our own behaviors in some ways. But sometimes, you know, psychologists forget to walk across the hallway and talk to the sociologists, the people who also understand human behavior in groups, you know, personal dynamics between people. And we've seen that in the past, you know, couple of years, it's become very popular to say, well, if you want to succeed, you just have to have, you know, passion and perseverance. Or if you want to succeed, you just have to practice. And I keep watching all this and I keep laughing. I'm thinking, look, you can't succeed. Look, you can be the most passionate person in the world. You can persevere forever. But if you never develop people skills, you don't have a chance of rising to the highest levels. You could practice all day long, but lots of people practice, but then they upset their coach, their team, their friends, or the relationships at work, and they can't succeed. And now that we live in an unbelievably, like, super connected world, if you don't understand other people, not only do you not know how to communicate who you truly are, because who we are in the real world is a dynamic of how other people are interacting with us, and how we're persuading, how we're influencing, how we are learning, how we are loving and connecting and serving and leading. All of those things come right back to one truth. You could be the most amazing person in the world with all the strengths. You could have discipline and focus. You could be somebody who other people even look up to sometimes. But if you don't have influence skills, if you don't know how to persuade, if you don't know how to connect with people, you can't sell your ideas, you can't increase your business revenue, you can't advance in your career, you can't form deeper connections with your spouse, and honestly, just the overall quality of life goes down when the quality of your relationships go down. When you don't have an unbelievable ability to connect with people, then life is just harder, and we all know that. So we thought what we'd do today is share with you 5 timeless principles for increasing your people skills. Principles that we know work, principles that as soon as you hear them, you go, yeah, that's right. But But then you'll also be challenged by me today, if you'll allow me that honor, to push you a little bit, to score yourself in these areas. And you'll realize, as soon as you hear the idea, you go, yeah, no duh. But sometimes common sense is not common practice. And that's why so many potential great people fail to reach their full potential, is they're not doing some of the fundamentals. And my job here today is teach you some of the fundamentals that will significantly advance what you are doing in your life, especially in terms of your relationships and your people skills. This is all part of a free broadcast we're doing right now through Growth called the Growth Masters Monthly with me, Brendon Burchard. We do this every month in addition to lots of other training we provide through our Growth Masters Unlimited program. I'll tell you about that because just for you being here today, we'll make sure we give you a killer discount and deal today towards the end. But I just want to focus my time on teaching. So do yourself a favor. Bust out a journal, get some water, get ready to take a lot of notes, and give yourself this time, and maybe turn off the phone unless you're watching me on your phone, and really think about where you are in terms of your relationships. Your relationship maybe with your spouse, your partner, your family, your relationship with the people at work, your relationship even with your customers, your buyers, your followers. I want you to get into a space where you're going to allow just a lot of thoughts to come in about how are you really showing up and treating other people? How are you leading other people? And are the quality of your relationships where you want them to be, where you deserve them to be, and frankly, where you need them to be if you want to increase your career results, become closer with your family, achieve more followers, whatever it is for you, okay? So let's get really connected. Let's get here because we're going to do some work together. And this particular session is a session that I am using, that I got inspired from one of our Growth Unlimited programs. So if you haven't heard about what Growth Unlimited is, it's basically a membership every single month that you join, that you're able to get all these different courses and programs from the most respected people in personal development. We like to call it, it's kind of like, maybe not the best way to describe it, but it's kind of like Netflix for advanced personal development. Because when you sign up, you get all these different courses and programs, and you can go through them and kind of solve any problem you're having in your life, or your family or your friend or your peers are having in their lives. But anyway, I tell you about that because I'm going through it right now, and I was kind of scrolling through what to learn, and I got inspired to teach this based off of the lessons of inspiration that I got from one of Dale Carnegie's courses in Growth Unlimited called the 5 Essential People Skills. Now, I'm going to teach his 5 word for word, but this session's inspired by a lot of what I learned from Dale Carnegie when I was that 19-year-old kid deciding I really wanted to get good with people, okay? And it all started for me. I remember reading this quote. You know Dale Carnegie because he wrote that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I hope you've read that, but maybe you heard this quote. You can make more friends in a month by trying to get interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. And I remember reading that when I was struggling to make friends and date in college, because, you know, so much, especially now I think about how hard it must be for people today, young kids coming up today, where everything's about, you know, sharing who you are. You know, social media is about this facade of demonstrating who you are through your pictures and your life and your video, but it's not really you. You know, people are using filters and they're trying to be fancy and show the best of them. But in a world where right now so many people think they have to always share out, they're often not taking in, and they're not learning from other people. They're not connecting with other people, and worse, they're preventing themselves from having true mastery with other people because they're judging other people at surface levels, right? I like to say, can I get an amen on a Friday? You know, I know it's Friday, but isn't it true? I mean, doesn't it seem like everyone's judging each other on such surface levels right now, more than ever before, right? You hear somebody's name, you look them on Instagram, you scroll through 5 pictures, and you think you know who they are, what they're about, and you decide to follow them, unfollow them in a split second. Well, that happens for you. You know, the people at work, have you ever had someone at work, you know, judge you unfairly? Have you ever done the same to others? Well, I would say we probably all experienced that. So one of the reasons I chose this program this month for the inspiration of our Growth Monthly and Growth Unlimited is because I think right now we all need to remember this. If you want to become mastery level with other people, you need to get passionate about learning about them. Dale Carnegie always talked about, in all of his books and everything I learned from his work, was always about being so deeply curious about other people that they loved being around you because they could tell that you loved being around them. It was that old thing that I think of, like all the training I've been through with Dale Carnegie. The one thing I always think about, if I could kind of make a metaphor of it all, you might remember this, is that there's two kinds of people in this world. There's the kind of people who walk into a room and say, "Here I am." And then there's the other kind of person who walks in the room and goes, "Oh, there you are." And I'm always telling people, be the "oh, there you are" person. Be excited to see other people. Ask them lots of questions. Be interested in their passions more than you are interested in sharing your own. Be more interested in learning about them, seeing how you can support them, lead them, serve them. Be curious about them, because you know what? In your curiosity of other people comes your real personal power. Let me say that again. In your curiosity about other people comes your real personal power. Because you know what curiosity in others gives you? Confidence. It's a kind of a funny psychological trick. And what I mean by that is, like, I could show up to any networking event in the world and I'm completely comfortable because I'm completely not focused on myself. I'm in that situation of networking and I just say, okay, I'm gonna be so madly interested in other people that they're gonna love talking with me, and I don't even have to worry about saying anything. I don't manage to memorize an elevator pitch or worry about getting my card out to as many people as possible. Instead, I just connect with a couple of people deeply and I ask them lots of questions, and then you know what? Inevitably they go, "Hey, Brendon, come over here. Let me introduce you to this other person." Not because of who I am or what I achieved, because I started doing this in college when nobody knew who I was, but rather because they go, "You know what?" They're almost implicitly saying, "Brendon, you asked lots of questions about me. You're a curious young fellow, and I want to introduce you to somebody else who you might learn from, because I know you'll ask them good questions and you'll give them attention." It's like you want people to grab you and bring you around to introduce you to other people, because they know when they introduce you to other people, you're going to shine a light on that other person. Because guess who you don't like to introduce at networking events or other opportunities with other people? Braggarts, show-offs, people who just talk about how great they are. Isn't it true? So I want you to use that as a metaphor. You want to be the person that other people want to grab and introduce to other people, because they know that you are going to shine a light on that other person. Because you're going to shine a light of interest. You're going to shine a light of curiosity. You're going to ask who they are, where they're from, what they're passionate about, why they live there, why they're there, who do they love, what's important to them in their life right now, what do they care about, what's inspiring, what are they proud of. And you're just going to get so much information from other people by being interested in them, and then you're going to be that person who makes more friends in a month than most people make in 2 years. And that's what I did. I remember reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, and after, when I was, and this again, I was a 19-year-old kid, and I'll tell you why I'm telling that story later. Heartbroken, upset, wanting to change my life, wanting to get ahead, and I wanted people to like me, And then by the end of, I would say, 2 years from reading some Dale Carnegie and putting these things into, I had more friends. I had friends coming out my ears in college. It was almost like I didn't even know how to make decisions about who to go out with or what to do, because I was always being introduced to everybody. It helped me climb in my career to go from, I was like a resident assistant, and then I became like an assistant, and then the head person of our dormitory, and my job status went up in my other 2 jobs I worked in college. And then I got a great job at Accenture, which was the world's largest consulting company, right out of grad school. And boy, it was a great one. And I was in the position of change management and leadership. And I was this, 21, 22-year-old kid, often being put in a situation to sit down with a person like a retail executive who might have been in their industry for 16, 17 years at the top levels, by the way, at the senior levels for 16 or 17 years. So usually doing what they've been doing for 40 plus years sometimes. And then I meet them and I'm in charge of influencing them to either believe in our programs, to support what we're trying to start as an initiative, as a consultant. But imagine, and I'm sure you've been there before, do you remember a time when you were super young and you were put in a position to influence older people? Do you remember how scary that could be? Because as a young person, you wanted to impress them without realizing what you need to do is impress upon them that you could learn, listen, offer value, pivot, ask the right questions to discover the right answers. And we always forget that. So maybe it's silly for me to share, as a 40-plus-year-old man, my ideas of how these things shaped me. But isn't it true we could all do better at this one? When's the last time you had a deep, meaningful conversation with your spouse where you just asked them questions versus just reporting how the day went? When's the last time you sat someone down and you said, are you happy here? What's important for you here? What would you like to achieve or contribute? How are things going? And just listening. I would say listening is the real multi-million-dollar habit. I think if anything that brought me here today, and if you're not familiar with my brand today, well, I took that 19-year-old kid who was upset and heartbroken and learned personal development philosophies of some of the things I'll tell you about here today. And, not that I didn't have plenty of struggles over these last, 30 some years, but I can share with you that one major change that happened for me was I made a commitment one day to my personal development. And it was almost like a demarcation line. There was the old me, and then there was the new me. And maybe you're in that moment right now, that sort of in between, that transition. You're transitioning a career, you're transitioning into a new place, maybe a new relationship, maybe a new job, maybe a new opportunity, that you're ready right now to have a demarcation line in the ground where you commit more to your personal development. That's the only reason I can guess that you're here. Certainly not for my face. You're here because you want to learn to another level of being great for other people. Isn't it true? That's why you're here. You want to become even more great for other people. That's why you're here. So I honor your spirit. I appreciate you being here. I hope you'll log in. Tell me where you're from down below in chat roll. Ask any questions that you got so I can get to them towards the end of our training. And let's just go right at it. I'd like to share you the 5 lessons right now. Number 1 from Dale Carnegie. I loved this. He might have said it in the exact phrases, but it's kind of what came out to me. He said, look, you can't be pouting around like a child. You must learn to be assertive like an adult. And I really love that. I think one reason a lot of people suck in people skills is because they're playing the victim. They're playing the child card. They're complaining, they're whining. I love this word pouting. Do you know any adults who are just always pouting? Yeah, just like, they're always, oh, it's so hard, so busy, so work, so lonely at the top. It's just like, come on, dude. Stop being a child. Nobody understands me. It's like, oh my gosh. Those aren't people you're exactly inspired around. That's why Dale Carnegie says, you know what? Be grateful for life. Smile. Be positive. Be the most optimistic person because everyone wants to be around that positive energy. It's like many of you guys know I've been blessed to work with Oprah Winfrey, and she shares that one of her favorite breakthroughs was this little quote that she heard that one of her guests had walked into a green room one time, and there's a quote that said, please be responsible for the energy you bring into this space. And it kind of taught Oprah that she needed to be conscious and aware of the energy she was bringing into what she was doing. I've had those same breakthroughs. I'm sure you have too, right? Sometimes though we forget, and it's easy to go home at night and just complain to your wife or your spouse or your lover or the kids or the dog or the cat, And it's very easy to get caught up and be in that place where day after day it's just complaint after complaint after complaint. And look, we've all been there, we've all been guilty, but listen, you're never going to be great with people if they see you as a pouter or a victim. If they're just like, oh, this person's always complaining, always whining. No one wants to give a promotion to a whiner, right? What we want to do is step into that place in our lives where we take personal power, where we step into self-reliance, where we be more assertive like an adult. And what does that mean? Well, for Dale Carnegie, he often talked about assertiveness was really kind of owning your reality, right? Maybe he didn't use that exact phrasing, but it's like owning the reality of what you have, asking for what you need, observing what you really see, taking ownership of the environment and the situation you're around, not as a victim, but as an adult who's in control of your emotions, your focus, what you want to contribute, being somebody who's fully intentional. Wayne Dyer, who is another great mentor of mine, many of you know we lost Wayne 2 years ago, and one of the greats of all time in personal and professional development. Wayne Dyer's programs are also, some of Wayne Dyer's programs are also in Growth Unlimited monthly, so we hope you'll join towards the end of this broadcast. I'll tell you about it. But I'm telling you what, it's so powerful when you realize that you can take control of your life. Wayne Dyer talked about the power of intention. And I almost see there's an overlap of what Carnegie was talking about and what Wayne was talking about in some ways. And I'm sure you see those themes throughout personal development all the time. And part of it's like, when you really have intention and you really assert yourself into life, all of a sudden, it's not like you're pushing life around, but it actually ends up like you're stepping back into the stream of life. Because look, if you're a non-player in life, then the stream of life is going by you and you're just a victim or at best an observer, you know? Just somebody in the stands of life, watching life go by. But if you want to be in life, and especially if you want to be vigorous in changing the quality of your life, then you need to be in the kayak or the canoe, in the stream, with the oar, working with the river, working with it, but having intention of where do I want to go in this stream of life. And what's important with people in this particular skill is this. Number one, start being very conscious of when you are complaining and whining. And if you find yourself doing it a lot, you need to set some kind of trigger for that. If you notice you're pouting or you're complaining quite often, every time a complaint comes up, maybe you do something. You know, maybe you have some rubber bands on your wrist, and every time you complain, you snap yourself with that. Just remind yourself of how often it's happening. Or maybe when you feel like you're whining, in your mind, you amplify it. Maybe you're like, oh, the weather's terrible today. And you say that out loud. Play it cartoony in your own mind. Well, the weather's bad today. What a whining child I am. Like, make fun of yourself, poke fun at yourself, but you can also do the opposite and reward yourself. When you do something, when you assert yourself into the world and into relationships, you know, when you speak up for yourself like an adult would, instead of pouting or whining, you say, no, here's what I'm interested in. This is what I would like. This is what I need. Let me ask you that question. And you assert yourself back into conversations versus standing back and waiting for everything to happen for you. Then reward yourself. Be like, good job, man. Man, I really stood up for myself right there. You know, I just finished the world's largest study of high performers ever done. 3-year research study with an extended research team, data points from over 2 million of our students, but also over 250,000 assessments, finished worldwide in over 195 countries. There's only, I think, 197 countries. So 195 actually contributed something, a data point to what we were doing. And one of the things we learned is that high performers demonstrate courage more often than others. And when we defined, well, what does that really mean? What was obvious was they were speaking up for themselves. They were sharing with the world what they really thought, really felt, really needed, and they were standing up for their ideas more often than their peers. Matter of fact, they would speak up for their ideas more in meetings, but they would also speak up and champion the ideas of other people more often than their peers. That all comes down to being assertive. Because look, a lot of us, we believe something, we think something, we feel it, but because we're in what we believe to be the victim role or just the spectator role, we just kind of hang back and we don't contribute. We don't talk. We're just silent. And in people skills, sometimes silence is suffering, you know? If your family doesn't know what you really want and desire and need of life, whose fault is that really? You know? And I don't pretend to make this easy, because I know you could accuse me of that, but I'm going to be fair with you, that none of us can get ahead by complaining, whining, or avoiding or being in silence anymore. It's just the world got too noisy. And part of our own people skills is taking back control of ourselves as an adult, being accountable and asserting ourselves back into the stream of conversation around us. That means if you're in a conversation and there's 4 of you at the dinner table, contribute, speak, say something. Like step into the stream of consciousness and conversation that's happening there. Don't just observe it quietly. And some people say, well, Brendon, easy for you. You're an introvert. And I'll go, actually, assertiveness is not correlated with introversion or extroversion, not true assertiveness. I write down every single assessment, including Myers-Briggs for like 10 years. I'm right in the middle between an introvert and an extrovert. Look, I've written 6 books. You cannot write books, at least 6 of them, in the short amount of time in which I've written them, unless you take some kind of deep pleasure in being alone and contemplate it with your own thoughts. So I'm more, in my real everyday life, introverted than I'm extroverted. I can do this because I've trained myself to do this, but it wasn't always that way. I had to learn to assert myself to be able to communicate, because I thought if I keep taking the stance as a child and let all the other adults around me communicate, tell me what to do their thing, I'll never rise. So I hope this has just got you thinking a little bit at paying attention, how much you're complaining and whining, because we all do it, but then asking, like, how can I assert myself back in? How can I take ownership of my energy? How can I contribute to these conversations that are happening? Because these little simple things, yes, common sense, but in common practice, they'll make you remarkable. Number 2, don't make assumptions about other people. This is probably one of Dale Carnegie's great legacies, is helping us realize how many assumptions we make about other people, even about ourselves. And it's really rampant today, and I know this is a basic, but listen to a couple things. Because you're probably not giving enough credit to the people around you, and you're probably not giving enough credit to yourself. Because what we do is we make assumptions about people's potential and about our own potential. The truth is, your next level is much more limited by your own boundaries of belief than anything else. You think, well, that's not possible for me. That's an assumption of yourself. Well, I can't do that, they can, they're lucky. That's an assumption about yourself, you can't, an assumption about them, they're lucky. And we always do that. You know, it's very easy in the modern culture. Lots of people say, well, those wealthy people or those rich people, they're like this, they had a silver spoon and a trust fund baby and they all da-da-da-da. And we immediately assume that people didn't work as hard as we do. Or we assume that people aren't as bright as we are. And we assume that because they didn't speak up in 5 seconds that they must not be intelligent. And these assumptions kill your ability to connect and to lead and for you to grow. Isn't it true? Our assumptions are awful. I remember another trainer who impacted me so much in life. I know probably you too. The great late Stephen Covey, who wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And Stephen told the story of how this lesson got away from him. Because one time he went in the subway, and it was a very busy end of day type of time. Lots of people in the subway, and this father and his 2 kids got on the subway, and Stephen Covey watched as the kids were running around, making a bunch of noise, you know, just kind of out of control, screaming, bothering a bunch of people on the train, and finally Stephen felt, I'm going to be assertive. And he went up to the gentleman and said, sir, you know, your kids are causing quite a ruckus here. It'd be nice if you could get a hold of them here. And the guy said, yeah, I mean, you're right. Sorry about that. We just came from the hospital and their mother just passed away. And I think they're just kind of acting out and freaking out and don't know what to do about it. And honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do either. And that changed Covey's life. And I remember reading it, and I was like in tears reading it, because I could feel that, because I knew I'd done that before in similar ways. Someone's a jerk, or does something, and we automatically assume that they're a jerk, or they did that thing on purpose. We automatically assume that everybody in the world is conscious, happy, perfect, intentional, having a good day, and if they don't, they're evil, or they're dumb, or they're bad. And you start judging the other people around you. And if you don't think that's true, tell me this. Who's the smartest person in your office? Tell me this. Which of your kids has the most potential? Tell me this. Why are you struggling so much to reach the next level of financial abundance? And you and I both know any of your answers to any of those questions are built on the bedrock of assumptions. And unfortunately, those assumptions and that bedrock, it's like quicksand. As soon as you make an assumption, it's easy to make another one, another one, another one. Have you ever screamed at your spouse because you thought they said something or meant something, but you freaked out? And then when you calmed down and you actually talked, you realized you'd assumed something and they meant something entirely different, but you freaked out on them? That is the lowest rung of people skills. Like junior varsity game is assuming something about other people. Pro team, you don't make the assumptions anymore. Instead, you investigate. You ask questions. You go into sort of like that discovery mode. I always tell people, don't go into judgment mode, go into discovery mode. Two different things. Don't go into, because judgment mode is usually condemnation. Discovery is curiosity. And when you're curious about other people, everything starts to shift gears. And now, because you actually have real intelligence about other people, they appreciate it. I think one thing that has helped me get ahead, and in my career, everyday life, it's difficult. I got to be careful about making too many assumptions about people because I've worked with people for so long. It's easy to say, most people are like this or most people are like that. Last weekend I was speaking to 22,000 people in an arena. I was the keynote, and this was a huge, this is like the Superdome in New Orleans, like this huge venue, right? I have to understand when I'm giving my speech that there is universal values that connect all of us. And I'll tell you what those are in a moment. But I also had to be careful, even though all these people were all here from all around the world, it would be very easy for me to misstep and make an assumption about the whole group. I had to be careful, because if someone hears you make an assumption about them or their group, they get sensitive. So your job is, instead of generalizing about people, here's what you do. You learn to generalize about the human experience. So never make an assumption about a group or a person, but it is safe to generalize about a human experience. Let me give you an example. I believe there's only two narratives in the human story, okay? Only two themes in the human story. One is struggle, and the other is progress. So I can relate with anybody because I can assume safely that everybody I talk with is in some struggle in their life. Isn't it true? I can't assume where they're from. I can't assume how much money they make. I can't assume how smart they are. I can't assume what they're capable of. But I can assume that everybody is in some kind of struggle. Now, it might not be existential struggle. It might not be physical struggle. But some of us, if we can be honest, there's a part of, maybe we struggle with our focus on a day-to-day basis. Maybe we struggle to be as kind. Maybe we struggle not to flip off people in traffic. I don't know, but everybody struggles at something. And I also know everybody wants and feels and likes progress. So we can talk about, what are we trying to do together here? What are you trying to make happen? What are you trying to learn? So I always tell people, there's very few safe assumptions in the world, but there is two good ones. One, you can assume everybody just like you has struggles and wants progress. And two, you can assume that you are more capable than you even know. You are more capable than you even know. I think if you're going to make any assumptions, allow those ones in. Number three, oops, I skipped right by it. Recognize, reward, and praise more often. No duh, but thank you, Dale Carnegie. Did you know the #1 reason people quit jobs worldwide is lack of appreciation? I would argue that's one of the main reasons people quit marriages. Right? They're not feeling rewarded or recognized. The praise isn't there, and you got to get good at this. If you want to get good with people, you must learn how to compliment them and praise them. And here's the crazy thing. You got to do it more often than you think you do. It's not okay once a quarter. It's not okay at the annual review. It's not okay once a month. Like, people need it on a continual basis. Good job. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. People need notes and emails and texts of thanks more often than you think they do. And it's super hard because you make an assumption that they don't, like you already told them. You told them last week. Why do you have to tell them today again? I've struggled with this one all of my life because I always assumed that people knew how I felt about them. Because I told them, you know. I literally have said, I love you to someone. But if I didn't say it enough that week, I got in trouble. You know what I'm saying? You know, I always assumed like people would know, like my friends. And then maybe I don't see a friend sometimes for a year or two and it's like, well, I felt like we lost connection. I'm like, oh no, we're good. Oh, I thought you forgot about me. Forgot about why? Well, you didn't call. Well, you didn't call either. I thought we were cool. You didn't call, I didn't call, but so I assume nothing changed since the last time you called or I called. We're good, right? But they would say, no, I felt, and I thought, wow, I didn't realize that consistent communication is not just important, but you really need to praise people. Tell them how good of job they're doing. Leave them little notes, send little notes. This got so important in my life that every morning in the shower, well, okay, I don't always shower every morning, but when I am in the shower, I ask myself 3 questions. The first question, you might know, I always ask, what could I be excited about today? And I just make something up. I think of something on that day I can get excited about. Number 2, I ask, what might I struggle with today? What might throw me off my game today? In other words, I'm trying to proactively anticipate something might go wrong, not like in terms of freaking myself out, but just saying, you know, like today. Well, I'm doing a live cast today. I'm doing lots of them. I might, get tired in the middle. So how can my highest self meet that? How can I plan for that? How can I prepare for that? So I'm just anticipating. But my third question related to this is, who can I surprise today with a little act of kindness, a gift, a prank, something? I'm gonna do something every single day for somebody in my life. And by doing that, it's made my life so much more fulfilling, but it also conditioned a pattern for me. And that pattern is I'm consistently thinking of who to say thank you to, who to reward, and who to praise. And yes, who to prank to, because I'm kind of like that. But it's really helped a lot. So let me ask this question. Think of the 5 most important people in your life right now. 5 most important people, okay? Might be your spouse, might be one of the kids, might be somebody you work with, okay. Might be an extended family member. Who is it? Who are the 5 most important people? Write it down. 5 most important people. Just write it down. Who are the 5 most important people? Okay. Do you got their names? You know who they are? Maybe you write their names down. Next to each person, I want you to score yourself on a score of 1 to 10. 1 is you have sucked in the last 3 months in rewarding, recognizing, and praising them. Like you've been terrible, meaning like you didn't even do it, number 1, okay? Scale of 1 to 10. 10, you've been awesome, very consistent, very good, very emotive, very honest with them, rewarding, recognizing, and praising them. 10, you're awesome. 1, you suck. Where are you in each of those relationships? I think this is a very useful thing to do on a weekly basis for yourself, because I think a lot of people actually do have good people skills, but they have inconsistent people skills. And that's why their relationships suffer, and it takes so long for them to rise in influence at work or with who they lead. It's just not consistent enough. Like I know a lot of people, you're watching this, that maybe you do social media, or you're in the thought leader space like myself, or you're trying to grow your following around the world. Let me ask this. How often have you thanked and praised and rewarded your fans and your followers? For me today, this is like my 3rd session today. I've been doing lots of video today. And when I've been doing these though, I often will give out all expense paid trips. I will give free courses. I will give free books. I'll think of ways I can give shout outs. I'll do everything I can to thank my community on a very consistent basis. You need to do that too. In your videos, on your calls, on your emails. Be more praising, be more thoughtful. I think it's important. Remember that speech I told you I gave recently to 20-some thousand people? Everybody who I interacted with at that point, I sent a bouquet of flowers or a free book or a follow-up email that was really thoughtful to everybody I interacted with on that entire trip. And yeah, it took me a couple hours, but that's the type of stuff that has created this reputation. Because listen, you might write this down. This is where you get your reputation. Right here. This is where you get your reputation. Right here. At work, this is where you get your reputation. In your community, that's where you get your reputation. What I think about you at work is related to this. Did you reward me, recognize me, praise me? That's your reputation as a leader. That's where common sense now needs to be common practice, because it's not just about making people like you, it's about winning influence. It's about having a reputation in the marketplace for what you do. Do the other industry leaders know how thankful you are for them? It's why on all my stages, if you've ever been to any of my stages, my entire career, I stand up on my stage and I always thank the whole industry, especially those I learned from, even who aren't with us anymore. I say, look, I'm just another ripple effect, hopefully in a long line of leaders, of people who shared their own thoughts about life that helped other people. I wouldn't ever be here if it wasn't for Dale Carnegie, Earl Nightingale, Jim Rohns, John Woodens, Og Mandinos, Robin Sharmas, Wayne Dyers, Brian Tracy's, Jack Canfield's, Mark Victor Hansen's, Marianne Williamson's, Debbie Ford's. I think of all the people contemporary in my own industry now who I just love and adore, Marie Forleo or Gabby Davis, Nick Ortner. I could go on and on. I'm always shouting out all my peers and celebrating them because they shaped me. And I'm giving them that reward and praise because it's just honest. Somebody has helped you and inspired you. Make sure you're giving them shout outs because it really shapes your relationship with them. And when your community sees that you're appreciative of other people, it just changes the game. Number 4, in conflict, describe, share, and request. You've probably heard this before. This is Dale Carnegie's framework, okay? Here's what he said. If you're finding yourself in a conflict with other people, here's what I want you to do, he would say. I want you, in that conflict, when you sit down with them, first, do what he said, be interested in their perspective, like listen and collect data, be curious about their perspective. And then, once it's time to assert yourself, here's what he wants you to do. Describe the facts of the situation. Okay, don't start with what you felt, describe the facts. Honey, I came home, there were 4 pizza boxes, 7 bottles of beer, and underwear around. Don't judge it, just say it. Okay, just describe what you saw. Hey guys, I saw in the meeting when we were talking about this, you kind of interrupted that other person. Don't judge, just say what you saw. In other words, describe the facts of the situation, okay, when it comes to your turn. Then share your thoughts and feelings. When I saw that, I thought this, and I felt that. So share comes second. And this is where people get along. Usually people come up in conflict situations. You know what? You make me feel terrible. Or I hate you. There's accusation, or there's drama, or there's pouting. And this was his famous framework. He says, you know what? Be even keeled, be centered, describe what you saw, then share how you think and how you feel, and then make a request. And the request has to be something for them and something for you. Meaning the request is based on, here's what we could do together. And this was the magic art of dealing with all conflict and all negotiation. It's at the base of so much of what we've learned in personal development, social psychology, certainly most of what has been covered by Dale Carnegie and so many of the greats. It's like, this has to happen in this order. You can't just go in, I want you to do this. And you can't just go in, I feel this. Go in, even keeled. Be assertive. You know what? I saw this is what happened. And it made me think that this was going on. And then I felt like that. And so what I'm wondering is, could we do this? And that we story, could we do this? Maybe I'll try this and you try that. Does that sound good? Is much better than, I need this from you. Does that make sense? Because a lot of people make requests that are peevish and childish and pouting. And we want you, even keeled, centered and intentional, to be able to say, I saw this, I felt this. And I'm wondering if we could do this. maybe I'll try this and you try that. What is that? Does that seem like that would work? Is so much more elegant, and we know from all of the sciences, effective. People who just run in and make a request before asking questions often get less compliance than other people. You've got to be able to make this a participative thing. And I think the number one reason people don't have as much people skills isn't because they're not bright, shiny, positive people. The truth is they just suck in conflict because they got the order out of keel here, right? They're making requests or they're sharing, but they're not really describing. Because sometimes when you describe what you saw, it's not really it's what you think you saw. It's not what they saw though. Sometimes people just get the facts of the situation wrong, right? You know that old metaphor? It's like you got three people on different corners. They all see a car accident rather, and they all describe it completely differently. But the facts are there. Two cars hit each other. But all this other input comes in. And so everyone sees facts differently. That's why it's important for you to share yours, because you might have them wrong. Or maybe yours are just a little different and the other person didn't see that yet. So if you share without letting them see what you saw, then they think you're just being a drama queen. I hope that makes sense. Such an awesome formula. Last one, number 5. Fear, I love this one, is the enemy of ambition in people skills. What does this mean? Hey, if you want to be awesome with other people, you got to get very attuned to when you feel flight, or freeze. It means if you want to be awesome with other people, you need to be more conscious of, boy, when are you nervous and weird around other people? You need to understand that, like, if your ambition is high, fear is the enemy between you and that ultimate ambition. In any ambition, by the way, your career, you want to become a multimillionaire, fear is probably holding you back, and you got to identify what's that fear, because if you don't break through that fear, it's hard to start climbing, right? That big wall of fear needs to be busted through before you even begin the real journey. And that happens with people. A lot of us are scared to be vulnerable and real with other people because we're scared we'll be hurt. You know, if you ever heard me talk about some relationships in my life, I often say, you know, when your heart gets broken, you kind of fall apart. And sometimes what we do is we build up all these walls to keep out the bad guys, but the wall also keeps out the good guys. And fear just ruins the ambition of all the love. In our own self-protection, we often block out the very thing we so desperately desire, connection and love. And so you've got to do the work in personal development to identify those fears, but also identify the ambitions, because the ambitions are what makes breaking through the fear worthwhile. A lot of people say, Brendon, I'm scared of dealing with other people. And I say, how long have you been scared of dealing with other people? They say, well, you know, most of my life. And I said, so you've never wanted enough to connect with people that you'd have reason to break through. Because that's the truth. You got to want a higher level of life experience. You got to want to grow more right now than you have ever wanted to grow in your life, because otherwise the fears will all still be there. It's that, like I said, it's that demarcation line. It's that transition point. It's that day that you make the commitment to personal growth higher than you've ever made before, because that's what breaks through the fears. Otherwise, we wander around and we're kind of a big bag of fears about dealing with other people, expressing what we want, being who we are, because we're just scared what everyone's going to think. But when you commit to personal development and you keep learning and learning more about yourself, about other people, and about what's possible for you, now those walls of fear, you're not like, it's almost like if there's a little wall of fear in front of you, but you can see the mountaintop above that wall, then you go, oh, this wall ain't nothing. That's what I want. It's right there. But if you have low ambitions, if the ambition is lower than the wall on the other side, that's called a prison. When you can't see out beyond, you're stuck down here. So we got to raise your ambitions up for how you deal with other people and for what's possible in your life. Because when you see those ambitions, now guess what you want to do? You want to climb that damn wall. You want to break through that wall and go. And that's what I hope that this conversation has done. You can be better with other people, and many people in your life need you to be. You need to be more curious with them. You need to be more interested in them. You need to be more assertive in sharing what you really think, feel, need, desire with your family and friends. You need to score yourself on a consistent basis. Am I really showing up for them? Am I doing good? rewarding, recognizing, praising. And then you need to address your fears in putting yourself out there, because we need you right now out there more than we've ever needed you. We need positive and kind and thoughtful and conscious people to lead right now, because that's not always happening in our general sort of society. We need you. This is your time to level up those ambitions for every area of your life. And if you can relate with that, then I'd like to take a few moments with you to tell you about what we're doing here and why I'm here and why we do this every single month for you. And so I want to tell you about what we call our Masters Monthly, which is our Growth Unlimited program. If you haven't heard about it, tune in, because I'm about to give you an unbelievable offer right now. So tune in. Every single month, I'm here doing this with you on a different topic in personal development, inspired by some of the greatest teachers and trainers of all time, who I've learned from. This is my 21st year of reading a book a week in personal and professional development. I've only ever missed 1 week in 21 years of reading a book. And it was just a couple weeks ago when I finished writing my book after a 3-year research project, and my wife and I went down to Puerto Rico, and I said, I am not reading anything. I'm done researching for a little while. But I share all that with you because I'm going to be here for you every single month breaking down concepts like this. Did you like what we did on Dale Carnegie so far? Then give me a shout out down below, because that's just a tease. It's just a little bit of what's possible for you. You have a higher ambition. We want to help you serve it. So I want to tell you about our growth program. We're going to give you today, when you sign up, listen, unlimited access to the world's largest audio library of personal and professional development. Part of this program, when you sign up today, I'll give you a URL where you guys all get an awesome discount just to say thanks for being here live with us today. We've got unlimited access. We're going to give you 50 programs today. Like I said, it's kind of like a Netflix of personal and professional development, where you're able to log into a members area and into an app, and you just scroll through. What do you want to learn? You want to learn people skills from Dale Carnegie? Click that one. Want to learn leadership skills from Jim Rohn? Click that one. Want to learn conflict resolution from a great expert of that? Click that one and just listen. You get access to that. This is the promotion we have going on right now. Every single month then, afterwards, we release 10 new programs for you for the entire year. So just as you see Netflix or whatever program you subscribe to, they keep uploading new content. We're going to upload new personal and professional development programs for you every single month. You can listen to these anytime, anywhere you want on your computer or anything else. You can also access video programs because it's all in a membership area. And every single month, we also have the legend Larry King working with us. He's interviewing A-listers on their success habits. And we're putting that in there. These are people who you can't even get to. Some of them Olympians, major industry moguls, great athletes who are sharing what do they do specifically in their habits to make them grow and serve and succeed at higher levels. That's in there too. As in the program, when you sign up today for Growth Unlimited Monthly, right? Here's what you're going to get. Some of the guys you're going to learn from. You remember Zig Ziglar? So huge in my life. So huge in my life. His program on goals and his famous Born to Win seminar, I paid hundreds of dollars for both of those. Those programs are in there for you, free, when you become a Growth Unlimited member today. Les Brown, talking about purpose. Remember, Les is the one who goes, you got to be hungry to succeed. You got to raise your ambition. His program's in there. Brian Tracy, who I've learned so much, maybe the best business and entrepreneur advisor of all time, talking about $1 million habits, advanced selling techniques, and the psychology of achievement. Those programs I paid another couple $100 worth. Those are in there for free when you sign up and become a monthly member today. Jim Rohn's Cultivating an Unshakable Character. I loved Rohn because he was always talking about character. His audio program is in there on that. The Art of Exceptional Living. I told you about Wayne Dyer. His Art of Personal Transformation program, that's worth it alone. I mean, Wayne is one of the all-time greats, really the founder of sort of modern American motivation of this last couple of decades, just unbelievably powerful. Dennis Waitley's Empires of the Mind how to handle conflict and manage anger. So if anything I talked to you today about the conflict part, or you feel frustrated with other people, go listen to that one right away. The psychology of winning. These are just like a sample of what's in there. Like I said, it's over 50 different programs. These are some of my favorite ones, the guys that shaped my life early on. There are programs from a whole diversity of men and women and great legends of our time teaching you in the program. When you sign up today, we're also going to discount for you 2 tickets to our next live event. We'll see on the page I'm going to give you, it's just growth.com/monthly. You'll see when you go in there and sign up, you're going to be able to get 2 tickets to the live event. Larry King's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Tony Horton, my buddy from P90X, he'll be there. A tremendous Dean Graziosi, Ethan Willis, just the modern kind of founders of what the personal development movement is today. We're going to be sharing with you how to go to the next level. It's a live event. I know many of you are as passionate about live events as I am, because that's where you really download and you learn the real stuff. So let me tell you about the program and give you the deal for you today that you need to claim fast, because you'll see in a moment. So check this out. It's at growth.com/monthly. Can you guys put that up on the screen for me if you haven't already? growth.com/monthly. Here's what goes along in it. I'm just going to read off to you what's in there. You get the 50 audio trainings from the world's most respected personal development legends. This value of this program is kind of, remember, Netflix for advanced personal development. It's curated by us, so you get the best programs in the world. It's over $3,000 of value. Don't worry, it's nothing like that, because remember, it's a monthly thing. You get the secrets to the top 2%. This is an online course that I sell and have sold separately for $500. You get that for free. It is a full program of my study of the world's top 2% of high achievers and what we learned. How do they think about money, wealth, team, leadership? How do they think about managing their mind? All of that is in that program. That's sold separately for $497. You get it free today when you become a monthly member at growth.com/monthly. You're going to get those Growth Habits monthly interviews with Larry King, busting down the success habits of some A-listers, so you understand what is it that the greatest achieving people are really doing. You get the 2 tickets to the Growth Summit Live, the event, and then we also threw in for you a live group call. So many of you just want to talk to somebody or share where you're at and identify what you should be focused on at this stage of your life right now, because you are in that transition and you are dedicated to personal development at the highest levels. You know it's time to grow, but maybe you just need a little bit of direction. So we'll get you on a group coaching call with a certified high-performance coach. These are the highest level trained coaches in the world to help you work through and share and hear what other people are going through to identify what to focus on next. This is all part, oops, my thing came down here. This is all part of $49 a month that you can see right now. $49 a month. You're getting in the Growth monthly program. And here's the cool thing about it. Sign up right now. You can cancel anytime because it's that good of a program. So we'll put this back up so you can see it. It's just $49 per month. You can cancel anytime. It's at growth.com/monthly, okay? growth.com/monthly. And you need to click there tonight so you can see all the extra things that you have in there and also the deadline. It's very important. If you want those 10 extra programs added to your membership every single month, you need to sign up tonight, my friend. I think the deadline on that was, what, Tuesday, Jess? Is your last opportunity, and then it goes to our regular Growth monthly. So if you want 10 extra programs every single month, sign up tonight. It's at growth.com/monthly, okay? So I want you to do that, and as you're doing that, I know I've got some Q&A with you all, so I'll go ahead and jump into that. I gotta grab my screen from you. And so here's my question for you though, before I do your question and answer. How committed are you right now to the next level of personal growth? Because whatever personal growth you've already done, and I'm sure as I went through some of these, you recognize these people. You think, oh yeah, I've learned from that person too. I read that book or I heard that concept. But look, common sense is not always common practice. But if you're really going to go to another level, you have to up your level and commitment to personal development. Everybody says that, and you know it's true, but look, what do? What are your options right now? You can buy some random book you see on the shelf at Barnes & Noble or on bestseller lists at Amazon. You can watch another YouTube guy here or listen to a podcast gal there. Go to this random seminar, but here's the challenge. If you leave your personal growth to randomness like that, onesies, twosies, one time here, once a month there, sometimes over here, growth left to randomness always ends up kind of confining you to mediocrity. Those who really rise, they curate it, they get a curriculum. And that's what we've done for you with Growth Masters. Unlimited, this program, it's really unlimited because you get 50. When you sign up right now, you're getting 50 of the best audio programs that I paid thousands of dollars for as I was coming up. Now you get those free as part of your $49 a month program. Remember, you can cancel any time that you want. Now that's pretty cool. You can cancel any time. That's why I want you to sign up. There's no risk. If you're that person like I am, there's a demarcation line, you're ready to go next level, then sign up now and tell you what, just take advantage of me. I have no problem. Meaning sign up, stay in for a month. If you check it out and you don't love it, then just cancel. You won't be billed any time. But you'll have access the whole month to over 50 programs. Sign up right now for $49. You can watch my $500 course on the top 2%. That is years worth of my training and research right there available. 50 of the best trainers in the world, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, myself in there, Larry King's interviews in there. But listen, go in right now. And if you scroll through it and you're not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what's in here. This is going to change my life. Or if you go through, take advantage of me every single day. Watch a new video, watch my $500 course. At the end of the month, cancel. You'll never be charged again. You got it all for 49 bucks. That's the offer today for $49. Okay? The deadline is Thursday, July 27th at midnight, but I would say go and sign up tonight. Look, there's always this moment where you make a decision to support your personal growth, and let that happen now. There is a demarcation line in your life. There's the old life, there's the new life. That demarcation line is a moment of transition, and that moment of transition is always a moment of decision where we commit to a higher level for ourselves. If that's true, then committing to our higher levels of ourselves begins with making a decision to learn more about ourselves, to learn how to serve others better. That all comes from personal development. I know you know that because you've had moments in your life. Do you remember that first time you really geeked out about personal development? You got that inspiration and that fire and things really shifted? That can happen right now too. Can you just grab my phone, y'all, where I got my questions, where I need that is? I want you to have the opportunity. Before I take your questions, do yourself a favor. Click down below or go to growth.com/monthly and sign up right now. You got an opportunity today to commit to your personal development. I just say, do it. Do it for your family, thank you. Do it for your friends, do it for those you serve, because they deserve having the best you around them. I mean, if you got kids, they deserve a better parent, and you know it. If you lead a team, they deserve a better leader, and you know it. I can say the same thing for me. I know I can do better. But how am I going to do better without curriculum, without access to great training on a consistent basis? The good news is you can go spend thousands of dollars or you spend 49 bucks a month with us. That's why we started growth.com, to bring the world's greatest to you. So with that, I'm going to go into and answer some of your questions that you have asked me. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Vince Bacani asks, I'm so excited to hear how you cover Dale Carnegie. I'm just wondering if you think his material is too old fashioned for today's fast-paced tech society. Where do you think his points need updating, if anywhere? Well, I think that's a pretty straightforward one, Vince. Great personal development is timeless. The lessons are always timeless when a great personal development teacher is around, right? Same thing, like there's lessons in the Bible, they're still timeless. Sometimes the wrap around the lessons might need updating. The context, the stories, the examples, the diversity of thought or diversity of people that were available or leading or in charge or having blessings at that time, all that can change, but the actual lessons always apply. Let me give you an example. It'd be so easy to say, yeah, I know, reward, recognize, and praise people, duh. But look, when we start measuring ourselves in these fundamentals, we realize how much improvement there is. I love, one of the programs you'll get when you sign up is the new psychology of achievement by Brian Tracy. And he pushes you. And you listen to that program and you just realize just how timeless great personal development is, because you realize at the end of the day, the only way to rise is to get access to new fundamentals and then score yourself on that, measure yourself on it. And if you don't do that process, then it's just listening. Because I mean, think about how many podcasts we all listen to these days, right? It's like lots of them, but how many of us implement any of that, or score any of that, or pay attention to any of that? Or worse, sometimes we don't know who to listen to next. And that's the incredible power of having a curated curriculum. And that's what we've done for you. We've curated the best. And if you didn't know, we teamed up with Nightingale Conant to get literally the best programs that they ever offered in what we are doing. And we chose the ones that we felt are timeless, the ones that still apply and will help you. I hope that serves you. Jason Welch said, when starting in a new company and coming in to manage an existing team, great question, what are some techniques to use in order to gain influence and respect from your team? Jason, great question. First, if you haven't read it, there's a book, Jason, called The First 90 Days. Make sure you read that book. I don't remember if it was a Harvard University Business Press book, but the book is called The First 90 Days. And it's exactly about that. When you're brought in for a new team or organization, it's really important. What we do know from organizational development work, and this was part of my master's degree, was that when you go in to work with other people, and especially when you're brought in and you're the new guy, and you're the new guy who has to manage, it's absolutely critical that you take the time to learn who all the key stakeholders are and spend at least an hour with them talking about where the company is, where they want to go, and what they really want to achieve in their career and the next level now that they have a new opportunity with you. Maybe write these words down, Jason. It's my 5 best leadership words of all time, if you will, my best phrase in leadership, and I talk about it all the time here in Growth Monthly, and that is, people support what they create. They need to be creating the new vision with you. You can't just come in and say, here's where we're going, here's what we're... It needs to be so much more collaborative today than it's ever been before, and that starts with sitting them down, asking them lots of questions about the past, the future, and where you can go next. I hope that supports you. Awesome question. Matter of fact, that's such a good question, and because you are in that place where you're leading, Jason, let's make sure we get Jason Welch some extra free tickets for his team to the Growth Live event. Just for being here, Jason, just as a thanks. Jen Wade said, what would you say is the best way to interact with someone who is a true contrarian, someone who purposefully chooses to be mean or opposes your attempts to be a positive influence? 2 different types of questions there, okay? A contrarian is not the same as a mean person or someone who opposes. These are like 3 different types of interactions. So let me give you some different questions, or different responses. If you're dealing with a true contrarian, your best approach is to actually challenge them. A true contrarian loves to challenge the status quo, and they love to have challenging conversations that question everything. And one of the best things you can do is help question their assumptions, because true contrarians often think they have the better answer when they've never asked thoughtful questions about the current system or the current world, or the old world as they would call it. So it's nice to challenge their assumptions, especially if you're trying to gain influence. How do you interact with someone who chooses to be mean? You don't. You minimize your number of interactions with them completely. Mean is mean. If somebody is like that, your job is to minimize that interaction as much as possible. If you are married to that person, then realize that you may or may not be able to change that person. Get in couples therapy or send them to get a coach or into therapy, because mean is not something that you can fix easily without high levels of skill. Last one, someone who opposes your attempts to be positive. Look, if you've got that person, all you do is do not relinquish your desire to be positive. In other words, don't let somebody push you into negative just because they are. Don't let other people bring you into their energy orbit. You are the sun of your energy. Other people can orbit around you, but you're not going to orbit around them. So you maintain your own positive energy because it's important for you and your family. I would also recommend, please sign up for growth.com/monthly, and here's why. The way you maintain a positive mindset in a critical, crazy world, negative, judgmental world, which we sometimes face today, is to be listening to positive trainers talking about how you can grow and improve your life. It's in the conversation of personal development that we grow the fastest, the most consistently. So be listening to that. I hope that serves. Barbara Shepard asks, hi, I'm from Missouri and I have a question. In speaking with others, it's so easy to listen only to reply. So how can you listen to the person without doing that and actually get to the issue that someone may have? Simple techniques I'm sure you've heard before. First and foremost, you have to have that intention. It starts with you going in and saying, I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to answer. I'm just going to listen to see where they're at. And I'm going to truly, I'm going to really truly listen to see what is it they're feeling. Your job is to ask a bunch of questions till you get down to the real feeling and the real truth. Sometimes that happens by asking, why do you feel that way? Why is that important to you? Over and over again. You know, it's often called the 7 levels of why, as it's been popularized. But I think it's mostly the intention to go in and to demonstrate caring. Caring is the ultimate people skills, and it's the ultimate path to real growth in life. To care more for people often requires you not to answer and give the answer, but rather just have empathy for them. As the Dalai Lama teaches, it's compassion and empathy that really changes the world. Nikki asks, Vancouver, BC, hey, what's up? You're right up the coast. Hi, Brendon. Which is the #1 most effective skill to understand about us humans in enriching our relationships? On all levels, I am an avid, profound people skills believer. So what beyond that can you speak to? Okay, the #1 most effective skill, I would say, hands down, more than anything, is learning to teach people how to think. It's learning to listen how they think, but the #1 people skill that shapes everything is learning to teach people how to think, right? Teach them how to think about themselves, their families or community and relationships, the greater world. When you know how to do that, everything truly shifts, right? Not just learning how people think, but being able to shape how they think. That's the most effective skill. That's what builds your following, your believers, your buyers, your investors, and ultimately your influence with other people. Mike Richardson says, as a team leader of a sales team of 32, congratulations, Mike, I was their peer and I was promoted to sales manager, their boss. How do you influence a team as now their leader? Great question. Mike, when you sign up for this program, which I hope you do because it's only $49, okay? When you sign up for it, watch my program called The Top 2%. It's in there. You can take the whole thing right now. It's a $500 course. And in there, I talk about how the top 2% think about leadership and team. And one of the things that they do better than other people is, especially in that moment of transition you've had now, your team is now looking for you to challenge them more. You've got to challenge their contributions, their relationships with each other, and literally their contributions in terms of weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly goals. In other words, you're helping set the pace more now than you did before. You can still be affable, friendly, liking, just like you were before, because we've all been promoted and it's a little difficult. The main role change you need to make in your mind and give yourself permission to do, my friend, is to start challenging that group. Because we all want to be friends. But here's what happens. I think part of our culture is all jacked up right now because parents, they want to be friends and they're scared to set standards and keep people to them. But now that you're in this role, whether they know it or not, they're looking for you to challenge them to rise to a new level of standard, and you need to have the guts to do that. That's hard work, but that's what you have to do. Now that you're at that position, you are the pace car. You set the standard. You give the goals that require the stretch. You can still be nice and help them achieve that all, but if you're not doing that, you're going to get run over. Next up, I like these questions. These are really great. As a JF Diot, I hope I get your last name right, Diot. As a leader, I see great potential in my team that goes way beyond where we are now. How can I help someone see greater potential within themselves and get that fire burning in their hearts to take the first steps towards their more epic self? I think I've kind of answered that a little bit. First, you have to understand how they think. Then you have to teach them how to think. Then you have to challenge them. But here's what I think you need to do. You need to work with them to start setting higher, more unrealistic goals. What we want to do in this world, because we want everybody to win and everyone to get a trophy, we want to set little small steps because small steps supposedly give momentums, and I understand that's fine. But in true leadership, we got to paint a picture that's bigger. JFK talked about going to the moon, okay? This was not even accomplishable. He gave a long-standing deadline, a decade. We'll do it within the decade. But the unbelievable nature of that challenge mobilized the greatest potentials of our time. It's the same thing in the modern era my friend Peter Diamandis does with the X Prize. He puts out challenges that are impossible, but those impossible challenges help people rise to their full potential to reach for them. Okay, and then let's see. Justin Lau says, how do you lead and supervise others and do the rewarding, recognizing, and praising when you are also having to help coach them around mistakes and encouraging them to grow to the next level? Man, that's such a great question. You realize it's never one or the other. It's both sides of the coin, right? It's recognizing, rewarding, and praising, and on the other side, it's coaching. It's both. You're never, it's not like you do one or the other. It's not like this or that. Both of them. It's both sides of the coin. And so you have to be very intentional about doing both. And what I tell people all the time, if you're going to lean on either one, like which you should do, lean on the coaching side. Coach more, because it's in coaching that you'll see that progress, that you get to give real, authentic recognition, reward, and praise. Not just saying it to say it, but to say it because you saw them grow. I think that is so important. All right, my friends, that's it for today. We've got up here growth.com/monthly. Last opportunity to sign up for it this evening with me here. I hope you'll do that because remember, if you sign up right now, you get 10 extra audio programs and trainings every single month released all year long for the next 12 months. That only happens here. No one has a larger personal and professional development library at this level in the world than Growth does. It's what makes us so unique and so cool. So sign up for Growth Monthly right now. When you sign up for Growth Masters Unlimited, when you click the button at growth.com/monthly, you get in for $49. So do this. Get in. Test it out. Sign up tonight. Even if you're like, I don't want it next month, cancel. But I promise you, if you just go in, look, you get my $500 course right now on the study of the top 2% people in the world. That alone is worth the $49. But check this out. I'm also here every single month doing this live, usually not with this conversation about, the enrolling because you're already enrolled. So when you're already enrolled, I just do this live with you. We do Q&A. I'm always bringing you a new expert, a new perception, whether it's from a Dale Carnegie or a Zig Ziglar or a Wayne Dyer, and then my own unique viewpoint of this. There is a point in our lives where we commit to a greater level of personal growth. Make that tonight. Go to growth.com/monthly, click the link on this page, get signed up, test it out, cancel if you don't love it, but I know that you will absolutely find so much more growth and so much more potential in your life, your family's life, and your team's life when you go for it tonight. So commit. There's another level of growth. You deserve it, and you have it right now, $49 a month. Growth.com/monthly. I hope you enjoyed the session with us this evening. I look forward to seeing you in a future Growth Monthly broadcast. Until then, every single day out there, know growth is possible for you if you earn it. Thanks, everybody.